last game before a week off as we inch closer to All-Star Weekend. Packed house here on the Vegas Strip for two explosive offenses. Mitchell had a hand in her face.
Good help on the hedge by Boston.
Hull with the hesitation.
The architectural layout of professional basketball has officially collided with its ultimate day of reckoning, exposing a multi-layered narrative of athletic hostility, global banishment, and the final brutal collapse of a carefully constructed comeback campaign. For over 2 long years, the sporting landscape has been haunted by the toxic ghosts of a single highly violent moment that redefined the boundaries of on-court safety. The global audience remembers exactly where they were when a calculated off-the-ball assault threatened to derail the historic trajectory of a generational icon. The establishment tried to sweep it under the rug. The initial officiating crews labeled it a mere footnote of physical play. But the deep psychological scars left within the sport festered into a massive ticking time bomb. Tonight, that clock has officially run out. The long-awaited collision between an unrepentant antagonist and an ignited defensive brotherhood has finally taken place, transforming a standard regular season matchup into a high-octane war zone of pure, unadulterated athletic retribution. That TO understand the terrifying magnitude of the structural humiliation that just unfolded under the bright arena lights. You have to look directly back at the dark genesis of this bitter blood feud that in June 2024. During a maximum intensity showdown between the Chicago Sky and the Indiana Fever, the ball had traveled completely out of bounds. The whistle had blown, the act of play was entirely dead, and rookie phenomenon Caitlin Clark was looking completely away from the opposing defense. Totally defenseless. It was at that microsecond of complete vulnerability that Chundee Carter executed a maneuver that shocked the conscience of the sporting world. She squared her shoulders, firmly planted her feet, and drove her entire physical weight straight into Clark's hips, violently launching her to the hardwood floor for absolutely no basketball reason at all. There was no loose ball to scramble.
This path, there will be some moments, and I think a perfect example is from whom you just saw, Kennedy Carter. But I think also to learn from this situation, let's go back to Candace Parker. I played with her and I played against her, and she came in as a transformational player who dominated her rookie year, the only player to both be Rookie of the Year and MVP. And if you see in this moment right here, Plannette Pearson came at her and provoked a whole altercation. And I'm sorry, I played against Plannette as well. She had a distinct reputation on the court playing for Bill Laimbeer's Detroit Shock, and he brought that same Pistons energy to the WNBA. Now fast forward to where we are today and what we just witnessed happen between Kennedy Carter and Caitlin Clark. I want to be absolutely clear. No one condones what Kennedy Carter did to Caitlin Clark on that one play, but you have to call it.
Inexplicably, the officials assessed only a common foul, the same penalty typically given for a routine bump during a rebound battle. It took an unprecedented wave of public outrage, relentless online backlash, and significant pressure from league executives before the incident was ultimately upgraded to a flagrant foul. While the victim of the collision chose a diplomatic approach, brushing herself off and describing the moment as an unfortunate display of competitive emotion, the player responsible took a very different path. Speaking to reporters after the game, Carter declined to discuss the incident and responded to questions with a brief, dismissive remark. Next question. The reaction that followed was swift and severe. Despite averaging 17.5 points per game and demonstrating considerable scoring ability, the Chicago franchise chose not to offer her a contract extension. Reports suggested that concerns extended beyond on-court performance, with sources indicating that team leadership had become increasingly frustrated with ongoing behavioral and locker room issues. According to various reports, executives around the league closely evaluated both the incident and the surrounding media attention. As a result, Carter found herself facing significant challenges in securing another opportunity within the league. One anonymous front office executive reportedly described her situation with a single word: radioactive. Throughout much of 2025, that reputation made it difficult for her to find a place within the American professional basketball landscape. Despite her undeniable talent as a scorer, opportunities became increasingly limited. forcing her to continue her career outside the spotlight of the domestic market while attempting to rebuild her professional standing.
Inside.
Worldwide, I really think wherever we go, it's a home game for us. And so we just try to put on, work hard, play hard, and, we just got to work on our consistency. They show out for us, and we need to show out for them.
We saw you guys pregame, Sophie, and pretty much everywhere you guys go, right? Fever Nation is supporting you, and you guys are giving it back. What's it like to have this kind of environment everywhere you're going, even when you're away from home?
And so that was Sophie Cunningham talking about the fans. Now, Becky Hammon is at the podium. Let's listen to Becky Hammon. Let's see what she had to say. Let's blow it up. Let's roll it.
Unforced turnovers or offensive rebound battle there. What did you see in the second half?
Boards definitely hurt us, but I thought we, quite frankly, ran out of gas. We looked tired. Couldn't muster up enough energy to sprint into screens offensively. But the O boards definitely hurt us in the third quarter. Gets to be a compounding effect when you're not getting stops or they're getting second, third, fourth opportunities. It's just super deflating. So we got a couple days here to rest and regroup and go out on the road for one.
Coach, you just talked about running out of gas, but in these second halves where things kind of fall flat for you guys, what are some of the commonalities that you're noticing?
She later joined Atletas de Chihuahua before moving to China to play for Wuhan Xingfan. Away from the spotlight of mainstream American sports media, she turned her frustration into on-court production, dominating the Chinese league by averaging an impressive 31.4 points per game and earning most valuable player honors. On paper, those numbers appeared strong enough to justify a return to the domestic professional scene. However, many observers believed that concerns about her reputation and past controversies remained significant obstacles. Exceptional statistics alone were unlikely to erase the perceptions that had developed following the events of 2024. Recognizing that performance alone might not change public opinion, Carter later appeared on a widely discussed podcast hosted by internet personality Neon. During the interview, she offered a different interpretation of the incident that had defined much of the public conversation surrounding her career. She characterized the contact with Caitlin Clark as relatively minor and suggested that tensions during the game had contributed to the situation. Carter also claimed that an earlier exchange between the players influenced her actions, though that explanation had not been publicly emphasized immediately after the game. Her comments generated renewed debate among fans, analysts, and media members, many of whom questioned whether the interview reflected genuine accountability or an attempt to reshape the narrative. At one point, Carter compared the situation to physical rivalries that have long existed in professional basketball and stated that she was comfortable with the criticism directed toward her. For some observers, those remarks reinforced existing concerns, while others viewed them as evidence of confidence and competitiveness. Despite the ongoing controversy, the Las Vegas Aces elected to give her another opportunity, bringing her into the organization under head coach Becky Hammon. The move was widely discussed.
And it's almost like there's this resistance to acknowledging Caitlin Clark and the impact that she has had and is having. Kennedy Carter did what she did. It wasn't a basketball play. We see non-basketball plays being made on the basketball court by males and females all the time. It's not a big deal. This is not a reason to excoriate Kennedy Carter or Angel Reese, who got up and clapped immediately after she did it and said, come on, this ain't a reason to excoriate them or anything like that. But it is a reason to pause for a second and to remind them what's going on and what's transpiring before our very eyes. So what would that be? The WNBA right now is at a tipping point. You have a young lady in Caitlin Clark that generated 18 million viewers for the national title game against South Carolina. 14 million, if I remember correctly. If I'm wrong about that, Janae and Eminem, please let me know. I don't think I am. I think it was 14 million for the semifinals, 18 million for the national championship game, 12 million for the Elite Eight game. These are unprecedented.
The highly anticipated date finally arrived. the first matchup between Shady Carter and the Indiana Fever since the controversial events of 2024. For many observers, the game represented more than just another regular season contest. It was viewed as a significant chapter in a story that had continued to generate discussion throughout the basketball world. Much of the pre-game conversation centered on the possibility of a comeback narrative. After spending time rebuilding her career overseas and earning recognition for her performances abroad, Carter entered the matchup with an opportunity to demonstrate that she could move beyond the controversies that had once dominated headlines. However, the Fever approached the game with their own motivations and competitive focus. Among the team's key contributors was Sophie Cunningham, whose defensive effort quickly became one of the defining storylines of the contest. From the opening possessions, Cunningham played with remarkable intensity and discipline. She consistently challenged Carter's movements, contested drives, and worked to limit her opportunities to create offense. Every possession became a physical and strategic battle, with Cunningham staying engaged and forcing Carter to work for every scoring chance. As the game progressed, Indiana's defensive pressure disrupted much of Las Vegas's offensive rhythm. Carter struggled to find the same level of comfort and effectiveness that had made her such a dangerous scorer throughout her career. The Fever's defensive execution, combined with the energy of a packed
unforgiving pressure,
Finding space, moving the ball, and letting things find us on the third and fourth sides. We're not getting the ball to the second side or third side offensively, and it really kind of bogs us down.
A question about the lineups. Shuffle a bit today. You've gone with Steph for most of the year. Cheyenne started tonight. Also saw Jewel in the starting lineup now for the past week. Are you kind of experimenting right now, seeing what works, or is there a different motivation for some of the lineups?
I just felt like we needed to start big with Cheyenne. Actually, I thought Steph played great the game before in Chicago, so it wasn't anything, she did. It was just a executive decision. So we're going to take a look at the lineups, but just for the Fever, I felt like we needed to start two bigs.
Anyone else? Thank you, Coach.
Yep.
So that was Becky Hammon, man, at the conclusion of the press conference. As you guys can see here, she still don't have an answer for Aaliyah Boston, man. When the refs don't do what they do for the Aces versus the Fever, be a totally different game. Aaliyah Boston have some of her best games against the Aces. Now get down in the comment section. Let me know y'all thoughts about this. Keep them bells on. And
this was
not merely a victory reflected on the scoreboard. For many fans, it felt like the culmination of a storyline that had been building for years. A moment in which past controversies, personal rivalries, and competitive determination all converged on one stage. The Las Vegas Aces coaching staff watched as their offense struggled to establish consistency against an energized and disciplined opponent. What had been anticipated by some as a redemption opportunity instead became a showcase of defensive execution and team intensity. The center of that effort was Sophie Cunningham, whose relentless defensive performance became one of the game's defining storylines. Her ability to challenge every possession and disrupt offensive rhythm earned praise from fans and analysts alike. Meanwhile, Shady Carter found herself facing the difficult reality of returning to a spotlight shaped by both her talent and the controversy that had followed her career. The matchup demonstrated how quickly expectations can change in professional sports, and how every comeback story must ultimately be validated on the court.